So good morning, everyone. I'm Upasna, and on behalf of TIE Delhi-NCR, a very warm welcome to this wonderful morning session. I think nothing could be better than where we are. No place could be better than where we are today. We are going to be with one of the most well-known founders and now, of course, investor, startup evangelist with us. I don't think we should miss any chance to hear what he has to say and what he has to talk about. I'm talking about none other than Sanjeev Bikhchandani, a man who needs really no introduction. We all know he's the founder of InfoEdge India Limited. In many ways, he's also the founder of the startup culture and the startup movement in this country. He's a Padma Shri awardee of 2020. And we're very proud to let you know that he's on the governing council of TIE Delhi-NCR. These are the, and it is because of people like him that we are able to accomplish and achieve what we do through our efforts that we keep making. We have with us today a very special person, Charter Member TIE Delhi-NCR, Professor Dhruv Nath. He's a director with Lead Angels and is an angel investor. He's a mentor to many, many startups. He used to be a professor at MDI, a senior vice president at NIIT. He's been a consultant to top management of several organizations such as Nestle, Gillette, Indian Oil, Glaxo, etc. And of course, is a BTech electrical engineering. Now, of course, he's a celebrated author. He's written a book, Funding Your Startup and Other Nightmares, co-authored by Sushanto Mitra. Today, he is written his fifth book, which is, today we'll be talking about his fifth book, which is The Dream Founder, and which is where he will be in conversation with Sanjeev. I would now like it to hand this over to Dhruv. Dhruv, please take this away.
Great. Thanks a lot, Upasna. And welcome, Sanjeev. And it's great you were able to beat the waterlogging in Delhi and had it in time.
Thank you. Thank you. And Dhruv, congratulations on the book. I have it with me.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have my copy.
So ah, wow. Wow.
Okay.
Oh, that's a signed copy.
That's a signed copy. Yes. Thank you so much.
Correct. So I must mention to people listening, you know, today, if you look at the Indian startup environment, in fact, even if you go beyond India, look at the international startup environment, there is this huge focus on unicorns and, you know, loss-making companies where the losses keep increasing year on year, month on month, and yet they get funding at higher and higher valuations. And that's unfortunately been the case. In the middle of all this, you have Sanjeev, who's right here with you, who has created a company which is a market leader in all the fields it is in, starting, of course, with Naukri, you know, which all of you are familiar with. It's been a profitable business all along. It has grown for, I think, about 20-25 years, Sanjeev. And it's a market leader. It's profitable. It's a market leader. And today, everybody looks up to InfoEdge and, of course, Naukri. So, you know, what I thought we would do today is let's try and get Sanjeev's views on how he's been able to go through this kind of journey where everybody is making losses and is dependent on funding. Sanjeev has actually created a successful, genuine business. So maybe to start, Sanjeev, would you like to talk about your journey and how this has happened in the middle of this, you know, this halla about unicorns and valuations and losses and so on?
You know, the first, I think, requirement of building a profitable business is that if you don't have the luxury of losing money because you've got unlimited investor money, you will be forced to break even to survive. And that's what we had to do. Because for the first 10 years of being an entrepreneur, from 1990 to 2000, we never had enough money. In fact, there was no money. And for the first 10 years, for roughly 6 years, I could not take a salary on and off. Okay, from the company couldn't afford to pay me. So I would always be doing a second job, teaching, training, some freelancing somewhere, and somehow surviving. Right? So अगर पैसा थोड़ा कम है ना, तो आप profit बना लोगे. Right? Of course, there are, necessity is the mother of invention. So you will find a way. Right? But having said that, I think there are many other enabling conditions. I mean, you need obviously a large enough market, a customer with an unsolved problem. You should be able to solve that problem with what is your offering, right? You should be able to monetize and charge money and be and be clear you're charging money, right, from day one, right? You should be focusing on network effect, building IP, so that you don't have to give your stuff at a discount. The customer really needs you.
Correct.
So those are some of the enabling factors of making a profit. Obviously, you've got to manage costs well, you've got to manage sales well, and you've got to keep on improving and innovating. But but fundamentally, थोड़ा पैसा कम होना चाहिए, तो profit बना लोगे.
I think all the founders out there, maybe all the investors, are suddenly a little taken aback with what you said. Paisa kam hona chahiye, and they're just desperate to put in their money. So, Sanjeev, firstly to the audience, Upasana mentioned the book, and Sanjeev also has a copy. I must tell you that a lot of what I've written in this book has been thanks to Sanjeev. In fact, I must tell you that while he is a lot younger than me, he is in a way my guru, because I keep learning from him. And I think in this next 1 hour, you should also be learning from him. He has a lot of these, pearls of wisdom, where everybody says paisa lao, get investments. He says paisa mat lao, run a profitable business, right? So these kinds of wise words you'll be able to get from him to take advantage of the next 1 hour. So I just want to tell you, this book actually, it's interesting. Like I said, Sanjeev, in fact, his name is here. Here, that's his name. And, it's called the Dream Founder, where DREAM is an acronym. And I actually finalized this acronym in discussions with Sanjeev. So Sanjeev, if you're okay, I'll just take one slide. See, I've been a professor, and therefore I make PPTs. That is probably the only strength I have. So I will just share one slide where I'll talk about this background of how the Dream Founder came about. And then I would like to ask Sanjeev questions on this subject. Right, Sanjeev? So I'll just take 1 minute to share one slide. And yeah, that's here. Sorry, 2 slides. So you guys can see this? Okay, so this is DREAM, the Dream Founder. And DREAM actually is an acronym which stands for, first of all, dream big. It's very simple. If you dream small, if your canvas is chota, you will only grow to something small. You cannot become big. You cannot become even half or 1/4 the size of Sanjeev's companies, right? So starting point has to be, for any startup founder, dream big. Then, extremely important, build the right team. And when I say team, I don't just mean employees. I mean co-founder. I mean your partners. I mean your distributors, dealers, employees, franchisees, anybody who's involved in running your business is part of the team, right? And when I say right team, I actually split this into 2 parts. Number 1, get the right people. And 2, build them up in such a way that A, they perform, they are motivated, and they're happy to stay with you. So A, get the right people, hang on to them, and get them to perform. So 2 different aspects of building the right team. Third, execution. Very, very, very important. Never be under the impression that, you're the only guy with a bright idea. A lot of founders believe they have something unique. In most cases, they don't. They, in a country of 140 crore people, you can imagine how many other people have exactly the same idea. So the most important thing is to put that idea into practice, execute in such a way that you're able to build an entry barrier, execute in such a way that you make it scalable, execute in such a way that, you are able to grow and your competitors typically are following you. So that's execution. Fourth is attitude. And I think Sanjeev will probably agree with me. This is probably the biggest component of any founder, any dream founder, because the wrong attitude means you're finished. The right attitude would be what? You have to keep on and on and on at it. You have to be persevering, right? You have to believe in. You have to be customer oriented. Listen to the customer, understand what he wants, try and solve his problem, right? You have to take responsibility for your actions. Don't take all the credit, but take the debit, if something goes wrong. So attitude becomes extremely important to be able to lead a team and to be able to therefore build a successful company. And the last part of the dream founder is what I call make opportunities out of crisis. And I think all of us know the crisis that we went through in the last couple of years, which is the COVID crisis, thanks to Wuhan in China. You know, and that's not the only crisis you might go through. You might go through demonetization. You might go through, you know, a financial crisis where money is not coming in. Sanjeev spoke about the fact that in the beginning they didn't have much money. That's a crisis, and therefore they have to figure out a way to manage. So the best founders actually don't just, you know, sit back and watch Netflix and say "Mar gaya." They actually figure out how to use the crisis to their advantage. Potentially maybe launch something new, maybe pivot, maybe grab market share from your competitors, right? So making an opportunity out of a crisis is the last part. So dream big, right team, execution, attitude, and making opportunity out of crisis. What we'll do is now two things. One is I would like to get Sanjeev's views on each one of these, and I'll be asking him questions. And in case you guys have any questions, you're most welcome to put them up in the chat and we'll take them up. I think Sanjeev has an hour, after which, if you guys are interested, I will take you through one case of a very successful startup, which I'll try and analyze using this dream founder framework. And that startup is called Go Desi. Some of you may have eaten, you know, Go Desi candies, Desi Pops, Desi Mint, Desi Mitha, etc., etc. So I want to share with you the story of that, but that's after this 1 hour, in case you guys have time and want to hang on. So I think with that, let me stop sharing. It's very rare for a professor to stop after one slide, but I've managed to do that. So Sanjeev, just to get back to this, you know, I would like to take up some of the statements that you shared with me several times and you shared on various forums. One is you have repeatedly said the customer's money is much better than the investor's money. Can you, it sounds so great. Can you expand on it? Much more important than the investor's money.
Yeah. I lost you for a second. So yeah, I've always said through
Okay, there is a freeze.
money. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. I've always mentioned the customer's money is more important than the investor's money. And for the simple reason that if you're getting the customer's money and you're getting it repeatedly, right? When you're getting it at a price that's higher than your cost, right? Then chances are you have a viable business. So long as you can find enough customers.
Yeah.
And if you're getting the customer's money, you will almost always get the investor's money, because investors love to invest behind businesses that are getting the customer's money on these terms, right? But if you get the investor's money first, there's no guarantee the customer's money will follow.
Yeah.
Because getting the investor's money is about making good PowerPoint, telling good story, you know, being from IIT IIM, and all the other stuff, all the other good stuff, right? And you're impressing two MBAs across the table who are also from a similar background.
Yeah.
But getting the customer's money the second time,
yeah,
the customer is only going to buy a second time if your product works for the customer the first time. And the customer is not your mother, father, uncle. Correct. He's not going to do you a favor.
Correct.
And you're not there in front of him with a PowerPoint. The product has to work.
Correct.
Right. And therefore, getting the customer's money is really, really important, much more important than getting the investor's money.
Correct. Wonderful. Great. Okay. So just taking off from there, the other thing you said very, very often, and maybe you can take an example of this, is you said people don't work for companies, they work for people. And, you know, when I talk about teams, when I say get the right team, in that context, can you expand?
Okay, so see, let me rephrase that. I have said that, you're right, but I just want to qualify a bit. People may join a company because of the brand.
Yeah.
But they will stay or not stay, depending on the people,
yeah,
whom they're working with.
Yeah.
I mean, more specifically, the immediate supervisor, yeah, and the immediate colleagues.
Correct.
Right. So it is a line manager's job to retain his team. It's not the HR's job.
Correct.
You have to be the personal magnet for talent. You have to be the glue. Now, when you're doing a startup, you're no brand. So nobody's going to join you because of your company's reputation. You're just starting up. People will join because you're the kind of person who's able to create trust across the table. They have to believe in you. They have to believe in your idea, your thought, your vision. You have to be a good salesman, a salesperson, to be able to sell your idea to the person you're trying to recruit. And this thing of creating trust across the table, being a good salesperson, doesn't just apply to hiring a team. It applies to getting customers. It applies to co-founders. It applies to getting investors. Fundamentally, entrepreneurs have to create trust across the table. This is the single biggest quality of an entrepreneur. And if you create trust across the table, you will get a good team.
So I just want to add to that. In fact, one of the stories in the book, I'll keep referring to the book once again, is there is one particular founder during COVID. Obviously, everybody was terrified because nobody knew where the business was headed. They were losing orders, and they didn't know whether they'd hang on to their job or not. And if they lost their job, would they get the next job at all? Now, what this guy did, and I think it's very, very impressive, is that on a regular basis, he would spend time with his entire team, the entire team, share with them exactly what was happening. He told them, look, right now, nobody will lose a job. I can't say what will happen in the future. Right now, nobody will lose a job. Right now, nobody will come down in salary either. If we need to come down in salary, I will tell you what's happening. So I think the fact that he constantly communicated with his team made them feel very, very comfortable. So they knew, look, suddenly out of the blue, we won't get a pink slip. They knew that the founder was actually looking after them and he was concerned about them. And fortunately, over time, things revived and the problem didn't happen. Right? So yes, absolutely. I think the great thing is that you distinguish between people joining a company and people staying on in a company, and staying on becomes extremely important. I think you've gone into freeze mode again, Sanjeev. Yeah, there seems to be a network.
I can hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Okay. Yeah, because video, there seems to be a network issue. Okay. On another issue, one of the things that we keep talking about today, and everybody talks about it, is this whole business of funding winter, where people say, look, this is maybe not the right time to create a startup. Startups are not getting funding. There were a lot of loss-making startups, and they've become giants, they become mammoths, but they're still making a loss. So this whole issue of funding winter, I know it takes you a little away from the dream founder, but what is your view on this whole business of funding winter? Okay, could you hear me?
देखिए, पैसा तो है मार्केट में.
Sorry, your voice is breaking.
Can you hear me? Market में पैसा तो, is this better?
It's better. Maybe if it doesn't work, you could switch to pure audio and not video.
There's something wrong with. Yeah, I will have to do something like that. Can you hear me now?
Now that's fine. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's fine. Correct.
Is it better?
Yeah, now we can hear.
So look, there's enough money in the market, right? There are investors who have raised money. There's lots of money. I think people are very concerned, about valuations. People are concerned that if I give money to this company, we'll get it next round. People are concerned about risk. So they're asking a lot more questions, different questions from a year ago.
Right.
So you can expect that the pace of funding will be slower. You can expect the bar for quality to be. You
Sorry,
can expect different questions and metrics being looked at. I think now it is.
Yeah, maybe you should log in again, Sanjeev, because we missed a lot of what you were saying. Maybe you could log in again, try and log off and log in again. Yeah. So before Sanjeev comes back, I just want to share. See, I am an angel investor. I am a part of Lead Angels. And frankly, this business of funding winter applies more to later stage startups because that is where people expect that, you have to end this constant cycle of making losses and somewhere become sustainable. If not profitability today, at least you have a path to profitability. But if you look at early stage startups, those within 1 crore or 1.5 crore, just about starting off, frankly, the kind of investment you have to make to start off and to make it viable is large, right? You have to spend on marketing. You have to spend on building the product. You have to spend on building the brand. Initially, you may have to give discounts in case customers are not willing to accept your product. So initially, there will be a lot of spending, and therefore you may be at a loss. Investors, so I'm talking of angel investors now, since they're early stage, investors realize this. And investors realize that at an early stage, there is no choice. We have to accept the fact that things are going to be loss making. So the funding winter, which was really against the later stage startups, which continuously make hefty losses, actually has not impacted early stage startups. So I know at Lead Angels, we have no problem in getting funding at an early stage. Yes. What people look at is not overall profitability. Yes. They will ask a lot of questions, which is exactly what Sanjeev said. For example, one of the fundamental questions they're going to ask is, how scalable are you? Because if you scale, hopefully you are going closer and closer to market leadership. B, they will ask questions about your unit economics. If you're selling, let's say if you're selling a pen, so let's take an example. You're selling this pen. If this pen costs you 30 rupees to, I'm just taking an example, it's probably more than 30. So it costs you 30 rupees to produce and to sell, and you actually sell it for 50 rupees. You're making 20 rupees per pen that you sell. I'm not including overheads such as salaries and rentals and marketing and ads and so on and so forth. No, I'm simply saying the cost of producing and selling this pen is 30, and the cost of or the price at which you sell it is 50. So per pen you sell, you make 20 rupees profit. And if you do that, the critical thing is the more pens you sell, the more you will be able to overcome the overheads of things like your salary and your rental and so on. All right. So a stage will come where you become profitable because you sold a large enough number of pens, right? So that's the concept of unit economics. So at the early stage, the angel investor stage, what they look at is not overall profitability. They don't even expect that, but they definitely look at unit economics moving towards profitability. If that's happening and you're scalable, you have an entry barrier and so on, wonderful, they're willing to invest in you. So at this stage, there is really no funding winter from my personal experience. Now Sanjeev is back. So maybe Sanjeev, if your connection is a little better, you could take off again.
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with the Wi-Fi given the rain, but anyway, we'll try again, right? Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can. When I can't, I'll let you know. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think my internet connection. So we'll do our best. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you. Not a problem. Anyway, people recognize your face. They don't need to see your face. It's a very familiar face.
Yeah, so we were discussing the funding winter, right? Okay. So we discussed. We were discussing the funding winter, right?
Yeah, correct. Funding winter. Yes, correct.
Look, your money in the market. The question is, the investors are now asking different questions, harder questions. Valuations are conservative, right? So it's, like you were saying, it's about unit economics and profitability, path to profit.
Correct.
It was land grab.
Okay. Yeah. No, again, there's a problem with the connection.
So some of the lenses have changed, but there's money still available.
Right.
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
No problem. That's not your fault. It's either the fault of Sunil Mittal or Mukesh Ambani or one of them.
I'll dial from my mobile.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
1 second. Yeah. No, it's Okay, I'm just, I'll track my mobile.
Yeah, let's try that. So I think I'll just summarize what Sanjeev was saying and what I added to that. Yeah, are you okay now?
Can you hear me now?
That's perfect. So I think you can just log off from the.
I've done that. Yeah, look, there's no real funding winter. There's enough money available. It's just that investors are being slower. They're being more discerning. They're being more careful. They're asking different questions. They're applying a different lens. Path to profit unit economics is very important. Land grab less so. High burn models are people are very afraid of right now, apprehensive. So all those things. So money is available. Criteria have changed.
Yeah.
Which basically means that the challenge, however, is that ever since the global financial crisis, the Fed has printed its way out of trouble, and suddenly things changed a year ago.
Yeah.
What it means is that there was never ever any shortage of capital for the last 14 years or 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly there's a shortage. Suddenly people are being more discerning. Right. And therefore, young entrepreneurs have to learn new tricks.
Correct.
Profit is not a priority earlier. Now it is.
Correct. And if you are running a genuine business, I would assume these tricks you should have learned a long time back. Don't just chase
But
funding.
look, if you are young and if you've been an entrepreneur for 13, if you've been an entrepreneur for whatever many years, but if you started off as one of your first gigs as being an entrepreneur,
right,
then maybe that's something I've emphasized.
Valid. Absolutely valid. Absolutely valid. And like I've been saying while you were not here, I have not personally seen any funding winter. And by the way, I just want to clarify one thing and get your comments on this. So there is a structural issue and there is a cyclical issue. So cyclical issues will come and go. For example, right now the Fed is tightening, the Fed interest rates are rising, and therefore, people are going into US currencies and US bonds and so on. That is a cyclical issue. It will happen, it will come down, it will happen again. That will always keep happening. But structurally, which means long term, the nature of the industry, the nature of the startup world seems to be changing, where people are moving from, okay, great ideas, wonderful growth, eyeballs, but losses, to let's build a sustainable business. So,
but that's a direct outcome. That's a direct outcome of the Fed's action. See, the Fed is not just raising interest rates. The Fed is contracting the balance sheet. The Fed has never ever contracted its balance sheet in its entire history. This is the first time. So we are in somewhat uncharted territory.
Correct.
Right. And so quantitative easing happened in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Post the global financial crisis, but this is quantitative tightening.
Yes.
Quantitative tightening has never happened earlier.
Yeah.
It's not just interest rates, it's contraction of balance sheet.
Okay.
And that's different. And therefore, because it's uncharted territory, we don't really know. Now people are talking about Credit Suisse being in trouble, the Ukraine war has happened,
right.
Oil prices are where they are. China, the US-China, sort of Cold War doesn't look like it's easing. I think global supply chains are in trouble because of what's happening in China. China's zero COVID policy is a problem for global supply chains. So there are many moving parts. And the world, unfortunately, is far too complex to really sit down on a piece of paper and analyze it thoroughly and say this is what's going to happen.
Right.
So we don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know.
But what we do know is that we need customers. We need to sell our prices higher than our cost.
Correct.
We need to produce something that they want. We need to collect money in advance as much as possible to get our cash flows right. We need to tighten our costs. And we need to be flexible, adaptable for any sort of twist and turn in the next 2-3 years because there is so much uncertainty.
Wonderful. Well said. Well said. So what I understand is what the Fed is doing, what's happening in the world, what Putin is doing, Zelensky is doing, is beyond our control. What will happen. You focus on your business, focus on solving a problem, getting customers, selling it at a higher cost than you're producing it at.
Yes.
And money will be available. Yes, lots of questions will have to be asked, but money will be available, assuming you're a sustainable, genuine business.
Yes, money should be available. I'm not everybody get funded, But you should be having a plan B. How do I survive if I don't get money?
बहुत बढ़िया, wonderful. Okay, one of the other issues that I was discussing with Sanjeev when I was writing this book, and he used this term, and I put that into the Dream Founder, is responsibility, taking responsibility, and that works multiple ways. So Sanjeev, would you like to talk about that?
I think, look, an entrepreneur has to fundamentally be responsible. There are responsibilities an entrepreneur has. He's first of all responsible to himself, his family, to his colleagues, employees, and co-founders, to his investors, to his customers. To the investors, he's responsible. Look, I'll be committed. I'll stay. I'll deliver return to your money on your money. I will not treat your money casually, right? And I'll give you a return. And to give you a return, I have to be there. I have to be committed. I can't walk away after 2 years. I'll make it happen. So I think, so it's not something you're dabbling in. I will do this job for 2 years, then quit, and then switch to another job under 5,000 rupee higher salary. It's not that. You have to commit your life. That's when people commit their money. If people are leaving good jobs and joining you, they're taking a risk on your say-so.
Correct.
You had better be a good risk.
Correct. Absolutely. So just to add to this, if you look at this whole area of responsibility, there are leaders who take the credit for whatever has happened. And when something goes wrong, the blame goes elsewhere. What's your view on that?
That doesn't work in the long run. In the end of the day, look, it's a pretty transparent world. Your employees are not going to be happy if they do the work and take credit. So you've got to share the credit, you've got to share ownership, share the wealth, and give people and share the stage.
That's the only way, I guess. The only way, because I guess what you want is a long-term team, and if you constantly keep taking credit or keep passing on the blame, I would imagine nobody would want to work with you, and that will be a real disaster.
Nobody wants to work with an unfair boss, unfair environment, unfair colleagues.
Yeah.
In a world where there are options.
True.
When we were graduating from college, nokri anything.
Yeah.
Especially you just on a BA, right? Like I had done. So you were lucky to get one job, which I got. And there was, and then you wouldn't dream of switching because you're
right. Okay. The other thing which you always keep talking about is to be persevering. Would you like to share maybe some incidents from your journey in Naukri?
See, we persevered. I persevered for 7 years doing a whole lot of small stuff. No big idea. Hello? Wow.
Yeah, you're on.
Yeah. So
we can hear you.
Yeah. I persevered for a long time, for 7 years, doing a whole bunch of small things. No big idea. Just, keeping the faith and somehow surviving. We launched Naukri as a 21st small idea. At that time, there were only, 14,000 internet accounts in the country. It's in the year 2000, we somehow managed to raise venture capital. It was still a tiny business. We were doing 3 lakhs a month revenue. There were only 4 million net users in the country then. Market melted down. And this is the first .com bust. And we didn't come back out of the wilderness until 2004. So by then, I had been an entrepreneur for 14 years.
Oh.
Almost always short of money. Mostly not taking a salary, sometimes taking a salary, always low salary.
Okay.
Right. So I think in the year 2000, 11 years out of business school, I remember what that is, in class of 89. Financially, I was probably the worst off guy in my class. Right. But you persevered because you said, look, I don't want that life. I prefer this life. Right. So I think most entrepreneurs go through a tough period, a struggle. Right. So no great achievement is ever had without going through a significant period of struggle. Very few people make it without struggles. Very few. Most people have to struggle. It's the nature of the world, nature of life, nature of markets, nature of capital markets, nature of customers. First you drift, then you figure out this doesn't work, that works, right? The problem is that if you do all this drifting after having raised venture capital, because when you raise venture capital, then you're on a timeline. Because the fund has a life of 7, 8, 10 years, and people start getting nervous if you drift. And your investors have got disproportionate powers in the shareholder agreement. All your drifting and self-discovery should ideally happen before you raise venture capital.
All this will go into my next book.
Okay. So all your drifting and discovery should ideally happen.
Yeah.
Before you raise institutional money.
Correct.
So you figure out some things in life. You haven't figured out everything. You figure out something in life about yourself, about markets, about roughly what you want to do before you raise institutional capital.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Just if I were to go back to that concept of the dream founder, in your opinion, if you were to say it in maybe a few sentences, what's your concept of the dream founder? A dream founder.
Yeah, 350 things. So look, a founder, an entrepreneur, has to be a genuine general manager. You should be able to do everything. Whether it is understanding the customer, producing a product, delivering a service, raising money, managing accounts and finance, managing people, right? Doing the admin. He has to be on top of everything. Being frugal, being commercially minded. Right? Hello?
Yeah, hello? Yeah. You're on. We can hear you.
Yeah, sorry, these calls keep coming in. I'm on my mobile. Just have to. Yeah.
You're running a business, what? Not just you're running a.
No, I don't know. I don't know who this call was from. Just. Okay.
It could have been a sales call from PNB MetLife, most likely.
Possibly. Yeah.
So I just want to add to what Sanjeev said. In fact, I'll take an example. You know what? One of the things Sanjeev has always been saying is you must be willing to and able to do everything. You can't say this is not my job, because everything ultimately is your job, right? Yes, admittedly, you cannot be handling everything single-handedly, but you must have experienced it and you must be willing to do it when required. So I'll just give you a quick example of this from the same book. I was talking about this story of Go Desi. It's a founder called Vinay Kothari. So Go Desi is in the business of Indian flavored sweets. When I say sweets, I don't mean Barfi Gulab Jamun. I mean candies, right? The kind that you used to have from Morton and Paris once upon a time, or eclairs, right? So he would have things like Desi Pops, Desi Mitha, Desi Imli, etc., etc. Now, this is what he started. And initially, when these sweets had to be given to retailers, so this was in Bangalore. So he was doing it online as well as giving to retailers in Bangalore, Kirana shops in Bangalore. The person who delivered all these sweets to the Kirana stores, the retailers in Bangalore, was the founder on his borrowed sister's scooter, right? Didn't have the money, didn't have a fancy sales team, personally delivering these sweets to every Kirana store owner. The question is why? So number one, he understood the process. Number two, he understood what the Kirana shop owner was looking for, how you would sell. Number three, he also got feedback from the end customer. What are people saying about this, right? Because he was able to understand all this, tomorrow, when he actually got a sales team, he was able to tell them, look, when I was selling to the Kiran shop, this is how it worked. Okay. So, you cannot sit in an ivory tower and say, boss, I am a managing director, I am a CEO. It is your job to sell. It is your job to do this, your job. No, you have to have done it yourself, right? So I would 800% agree with what Sanjeev is saying. Sanjeev, just towards the end, now that we are almost, I think, at the end, We have a few questions from the audience, which I'll take up separately. But any quick thoughts on the book? Because a lot of it is based on your views.
No, I think the founder is crucial to the success or failure of any startup, right? Because when investors go in, the first thing is what's the founder like, what's the founding team like? Are they committed? Are they passionate? Are they capable? Are they honest? Right? And I think the founders make a huge difference. And the founders have huge responsibilities. The founder has got, like I said, has to be a personal magnet for talent. The founder has to create trust across the table. The founder has to have customer insights. The founder has to be good at execution, good at strategy, good at everything. So really, this book covers all those things. And that's very, very good, because everybody assumes they're a good founder.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you probably are. Okay. But can you be a better founder is a question.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Sanjeev. Sanjeev, if you're okay, I'll just take a few minutes to share one story from one of these books. There are actually two books I wrote. This is the first one, Funding Your Startup, and the second one is the one which has just come out, The Dream Founder. So I'll share with you one quick story which talks about the importance of the founder. I told you I'm from Lead Angels, and therefore we are angel investors. And in the year 2014, there was a bunch of very bright young engineers, 3 engineers, who walked into the conference room and made a pitch to us as angel investors. And what they had was a design, a product for a waterless urinal. Okay. Now, today, as you know, waterless urinals are very, very common. Every hotel, every mall will have them. But at that time, it was something new, right? And suddenly, all of us investors sat up and started taking notice. You know why? Because 2 months before this, on August 15th, 2014, the Prime Minister Modi, had announced Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Brilliant idea. Construct 2 crore toilets. The only problem is, in many places where these toilets are going to be constructed, you might not have water. So what's the solution? How will they be kept clean? How will they be maintained? So suddenly we realized that this was a phenomenal opportunity, especially coming so soon after the Prime Minister's announcement. So we were very, very excited. We said, look, this seems to be an atom bomb. I mean, it can really blow all startups out. So the only thing we told them was, look, you have to launch this immediately. How will you sell? They said, we'll appoint distributors. This is wonderful, but please appoint distributors within this week, because tomorrow you'll have other people who come with the same idea. They will appoint distributors and they will grow much faster than you, and they'll kill you. Today, it's a virgin market. Please launch immediately. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We'll appoint distributors immediately. Bahut badhiya. So we told them, look, we'll take about a month and a half to just study the business and the product. But at the end of that, we are fairly clear we are going ahead. So a month and a half later, these guys came to us, and we had decided, we had concluded, we said, look, we are going ahead. And these guys, they were looking very excited. They were grinning away. So we asked them, look, why are you so happy? Why are you so excited? And you know what they said? They said, sir, we are now developing a female version of the same thing. So we said, hang on here, what happened to the male version, the waterless urinal? Ha, sir, wo hai. Sir, wo hai. So we said, look, you were supposed to appoint distributors. What happened? No, sir, our female version will take just about 4 months to develop. And at the end of that, we'll have both products, urinal version, female version. Then we will appoint distributors. You know what our reaction was at that stage? And I have to take off my specs to show you our reaction. Our reaction was this. Here are guys, and I go back to what Sanjeev was saying. Here are guys who may be terrific tech people. They may be wonderful designers, but they have no clue about business. They have no clue about the fact that you need to run to the market fast. You got a product, run. Add the other product later. Right now, just run with it. So we told them very clearly, boss, we are not funding you. If you can get a co-founder who understands business, who understands sales and runs with this, we are willing to fund you. But till then, no, because you're a pure R&D team. Okay. Now, again, going back to what Sanjeev was saying, wonderful business, wonderful opportunity, huge opportunity across the country. But founders who had no clue about business, we just said no. And I don't know what they're doing. My guess is that the company has closed down, right? They just couldn't survive. So, we have a saying in our industry, if you have a wonderful business model, but the wrong founder, it's a no-no. But if you have an average business model and a great founder or a team of founders, they'll figure out a way to make it work. So yes, absolutely, founder is extremely important for any business. So I think we are at about 46, 47 minutes. Maybe there are some questions now. So Sanjeev, I'm just taking up some questions from the audience. And I think they're all aimed at Naukri, right? So, but let me try and take those questions which are relevant. Okay. Please share your views on freemium and premium pricing models.
Look, it's different in different industries, different companies. Freemium has worked and completely paid has worked. Both have worked. So Naukri is completely paid, but the resume side of Naukri is freemium. So we made both work, right? And really depend on the situation, customer behavior, competition, unsatisfied need, unmet need to determine, whether you should follow this or that.
Yeah.
So there's no one solution or one answer for every situation.
Yeah, valid. I guess it'll depend on the business. Okay. The next question is, how can a dream founder manage other co-founders in a company who may or may not be dream founders?
So nobody is a perfect founder.
Yeah.
Okay. I think a real issue is that you communicate a lot.
Yeah.
And you're open, right? And whatever you have to say, you say to the person's face, right? And hopefully you'll get along well and you'll be all right.
No, absolutely. I'll just add something to that. I think the question came from Yuvraj, not Yuvraj Singh, Yuvraj Manish. So I'll just add something to that. I think the most important thing in the case of co-founders is trust, like Sanjeev mentioned earlier. If you're always constantly thinking that the other guy is doing something which is behind your back, or you can't run a company like that, right? So trust is very, very important. Don't jump into adding a co-founder. Ideally, your co-founder should have complementary skills. So if you are a tech guy, the other person should understand sales marketing. If you're a finance guy, the other guy should be a tech guy, right? So
Hello.
complementary skills. Yeah, Sanjeev, you were saying something?
No, I lost you. Sorry, carry on.
Okay. Yeah. And I would say, some of the basic attitudes, some of the basic issues of a co-founder he also has to be a dream founder. Yes, he will not be perfect. So you can't expect him to be, or her, to be a marketing whiz and a tech whiz and a finance whiz and a legal whiz. He can't. It's impossible, right? But attitude should be correct. Should be willing to take responsibility, should be willing to take ownership, should be willing to say, no job is below my dignity, should be honest. Corporate governance, one thing which Sanjeev always keeps talking about, should believe in ethics, right? So there are certain basic things which you cannot avoid. If there is a co-founder who doesn't satisfy these, frankly, you have the wrong co-founder. So I would suggest spend enough time before deciding that this person is the right person to become your co-founder. Okay. Another question, and this has come from Anil Balan. He says, what would be your suggestion to a founder who's trying to build an ecosystem or a business model that does not exist in the current form as compared to a business driven by industry trends? Essentially, my understanding is that something which is completely unique, not accepted today in the market. What's your advice?
Well, Naukri was that, right? In 1997 when we launched. So either you put in lots of money and make the market happen, or you give enough time. Okay, and do it slowly. Right? Habits don't change quickly.
Yeah.
Right? And therefore, you give it enough money or give it enough time, or both. Now, if money is not available, then give it enough time.
Correct.
Right? Now, if you look at Naukri, how did we launch? We first took jobs from all newspapers around the country and put them on the net.
Yeah.
Right? When that happened, traffic began to come. And people began to apply for those jobs. And in the company letter, they would write, I saw your job on Naukri. Now, the recruiter had never heard of Naukri, but the job seeker told him in the covering letter. When that began to happen, we got calls saying, hey, what are you guys up to? So we said, oh, just public service. And said, we've got some jobs. We haven't advertised in the papers. Will you put them up? He said, sure, just pay us 350 rupees a job. So little revenue began to come in. So market got kick-started slowly, right? And slowly we switched over from all free jobs to all paid jobs over a 3-4 year period. So it is gradual. We had kept a very low price, so there was low risk, so people would try it. In any case, we got enough jobs there always free from newspapers. So the job seeker would always find value when he came there. So he would always come there. So that's how we figured it out. And running out of my residence, low cost, frugal, so just breaking even, and we were managing.
Great. Let me just add to that, Anil. So, you will always have this entire range between a business which is existing and accepted in the market and something which is completely new, like Naukri when it was launched, right? And there'll be a complete range. There'll be things which are midway, and they will all have their pluses or minuses. If you are doing something which lots of other people are doing, then boss, you're competing with, and very often you'll be competing with giants, right? So you have to figure out what is unique about what you're doing and how the customer, why the customer will come to you rather than to the other 100 guys. That's extremely important, because if not, then, you are one of the many. You're a Me Too business. Whether you survive, whether the others survive, nobody knows, right? On the other hand, if you are at the other extreme where you are trying to create something which doesn't exist, like Naukri, yes, there will be that gestation period. You will go through ups and downs, like Sanjeev has mentioned. But I just want to mention one thing there. Even there, I would categorize this into two parts. One is where there is a genuine problem in the market and you're trying to solve it, which is what Sanjeev did. There is a genuine problem. People do not know how to apply for jobs. Companies don't know how to recruit, and therefore I'm solving that problem. So he was solving a problem, except that he was doing it in a way which is different from, what the placement consultants would have done some time back. But the other type is where there is no problem right now, and you're trying to figure out a way to get the customer to believe that there is a problem. That will take far longer. I mean, classic example is Facebook. They actually were not solving a problem. They said, look, let people start talking to each other, posting things on the internet. That's not really solving a problem. But today, or even 10 years back, it came to a stage where it became a crying need. People said, boss, I have to be, my Facebook is down. I'm dead. I can't survive for one day. So that obviously will take much, much longer, right? So you have three extremes. On the one hand, a Me Too business, which you have to compete, you have to be unique. Second is an existing problem which you're trying to solve. Yes, you will take time. Three is where you're trying to figure out a way to create a problem which potentially can become large enough, and therefore you solve it. So, I mean, ultimately the choice is yours. Okay, let me take one more question, and I think this could be the last or the second last question. You said that this is from Abhishek Dhar. So Sanjeev, you said the founder has to do everything. But when it comes to so essentially what he's saying is the founder has to do everything, but there are domain experts required. And I read in one book that the major mistake the founder can make is that they try and do everything on their own. Comments on that?
Well, look, when a company is small, when you're starting out, you have to be able to do most things, if not everything. And sometimes you may have to do it.
Yeah.
Right? And when I say that, I meant, look, when we started out, there were no telephones. It was 8-year waiting list to get a landline. There were no mobile phones.
Yes.
Right? So we had one phone where I had stolen an extension from my father's clinic downstairs. He was a doctor, right? And that phone would sit on my desk.
Okay.
Because there was only one phone. So I'd pick up every phone that came. So effectively, I became the receptionist.
What you're saying will probably give a huge amount of confidence to everybody out there who's listening.
Right? So I had effectively become the receptionist, a telephone operator. right? Right. Then you see, we were at that time, there were only dial-up internet connections, no lease lines.
Correct.
And so, we get a stable connection only at 2 a.m.
Wow.
So to update the site, somebody had to be there at 2 a.m. updating the site. So since it was my residence, I used to do it at 2 a.m.
Wow.
Right? So, there were 100 jobs I would do, which as an MBA from IIM Ahmedabad with 12, 14 experience in a corporate job, I would say it's beneath my dignity.
Correct. Exactly.
Okay, I might have said, right, had I been in a corporate job.
Yeah.
But yahan pe karna padta hai boss. That's what I meant.
Correct. No, absolutely.
And you're doing all these jobs not because you want to do all the jobs. It's because you don't have the resources to get people to do those jobs.
Correct. I remember, the earlier MD of Aisher, Vikram Lal. Now, of course, it's Siddharth Lal. Earlier, it used to be Vikram Lal, his father. I remember my brother used to work with Aisher, and he said, even today, Vikram Lal can take a tractor apart down to the last nut and bolt and put it together again because he's done it. And therefore, he has phenomenal respect from his employees. Phenomenal respect. So even though you may not be doing everything, the fact that you can do it.
Or at some point I have done it.
Yeah, and have done
it. And you may have done it not because you're the best at it, but because you're the only one there.
And also, since you're doing it, hopefully you'll be able to train other guys.
Yes.
At some stage. Okay. So I think we are almost at the end. Sanjeev, any quick closing comments on the concept of a dream founder, your view? Or any,
I will just make one comment, one observation. Yes, it's important to dream big because big dreams will keep you motivated. Okay. And they will say, okay, this is what I'm striving for. But it's a good idea to start small. So dream big, but start small. Because when you start small, you consume less capital, your mistakes are less expensive, you learn as you go, and you learn every job. And then, by the time it comes to the big dream being achieved, you're hopefully very, very capable.
Wonderful. And maybe I'll just add to that, start small and be focused. Don't try and do 30 things at one time. Don't try and run 30 businesses. A lot of founders try and run many businesses. When you're the size of Mukesh Ambani or Sanjeev Bikhchandani, you can. When you're a young founder just starting off, focus on one business and make sure that does well. So great, Sanjeev. I think with that, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for
having me. It's been wonderful. And a lot of this will go into my next book.
Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
For which I'll catch you again. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
So much. Thanks. Bye-bye, Sanjeev. Bye. So that was Sanjeev. And as you are aware, now you can understand why I have adopted him as my guru. Now, I don't know if you guys are interested. If you are, we can continue because I have, one of the stories, one of the startups in the book, which I wrote, which I'll try and analyze using the Dream Founder framework. And if you're interested, do stay on. I'll just talk about that. Yeah. But of course, if you're hungry, you're most welcome to leave for lunch. Okay, so for those of you who are there, I will go back to this Dream Founder that I shared. Pallavi, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Pallavi is sounding hungry. Okay. Yeah, so just hold on. Yeah, so I had reached here. Now, I will talk about Go Desi. That's one of my favorite stories. And this is based on the company called Go Desi. And you can see this book here, right? So this is one of the star founders in this book. So I've already shared this. Now, let me start with the story. See, this guy, his name is Vinay Kothari. And he's based in Bangalore and he's a trekker. So he goes all over the place, rural Karnataka. And he was trekking once and, he went to a little Kirana shop in some village. and he noticed some very interesting sweets. Okay. When I say sweets, I don't mean barfi, gulab jamun, and imarti. No, no. I mean, those wrapped candies, parle, morton, and so on. Right? But normally, if you remember your young age, these sweets would have been in flavors like, orange or strawberry or vanilla or lemon or whatever. This was purely Indian flavors, right? So it was flavors like kathal, in case you're aware of kathal, jackfruit. I never thought you could make sweets out of kathal, right? Even Pallavi is looking surprised. Or imli, tamarind, right? Or something like kacha aam, right? Now you make achar out of kacha aam, but has anybody made sweets out of that? I don't know. So he tried these and he found them very yummy. Now, this guy's background is that he is from ITC. He spent about five years in ITC. He's an MBA, and he was in sales, and he was into foods, the foods division, the FMCG division of ITC. So suddenly he started getting excited. He says, "Look, where are these made?" So that guy, the Kirana shop owner, he told him, "Look, it's made in some village nearby, and there is a farmer who makes it. He grows the fruit, he also makes it." So he said, okay, he went to that village, and that farmer had a little shed, chota sa shed. Pallavi, would everybody here understand Hindi, or should I just stick to English? Pallavi can't listen to me. Okay. So he went to that farmer. He realized that the farmer had a little shed, which this guy called a micro unit, chota sa factory. And he was growing the fruit, whether it was imli or kathal or whatever, and he was actually processing it to create the final candies. Suddenly, this guy realized, first of all, this was completely unbranded. And it was a completely new market. But because it was only being done on such an unorganized small scale, it only reached village shops. And that too only in rural Karnataka, nowhere else, right? So the potential market for this was huge, immense across the country. But actually what was being done was very, very tiny on a very small scale, completely unorganized. So what this guy realized was, look, given my background, can we convert this into an organized branded business? And as you can imagine, this is a huge untapped market, huge, right? Because nobody else is doing this. Whatever other people are doing are orange flavor and lemon flavor and pineapple flavor, not kacha aam and imli and so on. So suddenly he got excited. And that is where his dream began. A dream big. He said, look, I'm not looking at this, chota unorganized market in rural Karnataka. I'm looking at the entire country, including metros, Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, everything. So next, what he did was he started looking at planning out execution. He realized that to make this a formal organized business, you needed to standardize processes. You couldn't have every farmer, doing what he wanted. So he set up one micro unit, one little factory of his own, just to standardize processes. All right. And then what he did was, once he had done all this, he said, okay, now I will go and hunt for farmers who will set up their own micro units, little factories, right? So they will grow the fruit and they will do the processing as well. Go Desi would be restricted to, I will have the know-how, I will have the processes, I will have the quality control, the standardization, the packaging, and the brand and the distribution, both online and offline. But the farmer is the one who will grow the fruit and ultimately process. Now, please remember one thing, very, very important. This made the business very highly scalable. And, in case you guys are looking at funding, I'm sure you realize, that investors look at scalable businesses and founders also need to look at scalable businesses, which means the ability to grow rapidly, grow a lot and grow rapidly, not slowly. Okay. And let me tell you why in this particular case. See, if he said, I will have a factory where I will produce all these sweets, to scale up, let's say 2-3 times, he would have to enhance the capacity 3 times. Get people to man that factory 3 times the number. That takes capital, it takes money, it takes time. You may need to buy land, or you may need to lease land, set up a factory, etc., right? Very, very slow process and requires money, not scalable. Instead, what he did was, he says, my job is I will have one unit, I will standardize everything, and then I will get partners who will do the processing, the growing and the processing. So if expansion has to be done, all I need is I need to get 4 more partners rather than expanding my own setup. Okay, so that is what made it very highly scalable, and which is one of the issues. There are many issues, but one of the issues in execution, ensuring that you have a business model which is very highly scalable. Okay, next, the right team. Okay, so I told you that the right team is not only employees, it's also partners, and these guys, they're the farmers that he was tying up with were partners. Now, it means 2 things. A, you have to select the right people, and B, you have to nurture them to ensure that they're happy, they're productive, and therefore they stay with you, right? So first of all, he selected like-minded farmers. There were some farmers who said, no, I can only set up one tiny unit. Doesn't make sense. He only wanted farmers who had the vision to set up something big. Okay. So in fact, the farmer also had to dream big. It's not just your partners also have to be dream partners, right? It's not just the founder. So the farmers had to have a vision to grow large farmers. Second, this is very, very important. In the food processing industry, because this is food processing, typically what happens, the farmer grows the fruit or the vegetables, passes it on to a factory which does the processing, and then it is processed and packaged and distributed and ultimately reaches the consumer. So if the consumer pays 100 rupees, the farmer, because he's only growing the fruit, gets only approximately 10%. Now his model was different. His model was, he told the farmer, look, boss, not only are you growing the fruit, you're also processing it. So you're not getting 10%, you're getting 30%. And the farmer was delighted, hugely motivated, right? So, very, very important. Right team means get the right people, get the right team, and nurture them, develop them so they're happy, they stay with you. Suddenly, these guys were very happy, they were getting 30%. Okay, next issue, attitude. I've already shared this with you. I don't need to go over it again. There are many, many things in attitude, but one of the things is you must be willing to do everything. Nothing is below my dignity. Set an example. I shared that incidents about Vikram Lal, the earlier founder of, not the founder, but the earlier managing director of Eicher Motors, right? He could take apart a tractor and put it together again. Everybody respected him because A, he had done it and he could still do it. Right? So I'm not saying that is not his job. His job is not to take a tractor apart, but look at the message it gives to everybody else. And that's the issue about attitude. One of the issues. Finally, make opportunities out of crisis. So all of you know what happened last 2 years. Now, what this guy realized was, if you look at competitors, typically, the regular candy manufacturers, the Paris and so on, the fruit would be grown in one state and then transported to the processing unit, which is far away, usually in another state. During COVID, what happened? Interstate travel banned, completely banned, right? His farmers grew the product and the same farmer would process it nearby, possibly on the same land. Okay, suddenly there's no transportation problem compared to competition, right? So he says, okay, I have a huge opportunity. I will grab market share from my competition. What did he do? Number one, he chased the hell out of government officials. See, at that time, you needed permission, right, during COVID. Fortunately, it was in the rural environment, and therefore the impact of COVID was lower than it would have been in places like Bangalore and Delhi and Bombay, right? So he chased them, he got permission. Secondly, he realized that a lot of people are sitting indoors and they had nothing to do and they were only, browsing the internet, consuming content. So he said, let me build up a brand for these people who are sitting at home and browsing. and he started a website called Desi Nukkad. Nukkad, as you know, a street corner, where he talked about, healthy food, natural living, yoga, essentially linking it with his product. By the way, his product was natural and healthy. There was no sugar. There was only good, jaggery, right? So healthy. So, he actually built a brand during these tough periods. So once we started getting out of COVID, he actually had an entry barrier because his brand was built, right? He had a size. And today, he is the fastest selling confectionery brand on Amazon. And these are the kind of products this guy has. Okay. So that's the story of Vinay Kothari, the dream founder, and his dream company. So I think I'll just stop the sharing. And yeah. And if you guys have any more questions, you're welcome to ask. Let me see if there are any more questions. Sorry? Yeah, so hold on. So let me take these questions one by one. For a bootstrap company, when we are trying to reach a product market fit, what is more important, to have more number of customers in a freemium model while carrying a risk of failure, or working with a small set of customers and get product market? Okay, so first of all, I would say this is very highly dependent on the product that you're selling. I would say the key issue is there a genuine problem you're trying to solve for the customer? Is there a genuine problem? I'll give you an example. I know of a lot of companies which are working on SaaS-based solutions. You know SaaS, right? Software as a service. And there, one model which works very, very well is this freemium model. Because if you're solving a genuine problem, you give it to the company and you tell them use it for 3 months, it's free. Get them to a position where they are hooked onto it, and therefore they can't do without it. That is when you start charging for it, right? So if you're solving a genuine problem and the solution you're offering is something which, it's a repeat buyer. It's a buyer who will keep using your product on an ongoing basis. If you get that buyer into a position where they are hooked onto your product, they are dependent on your product, they will come to you, and then that's a stage where you can start charging. So that is one very, very good method I have found. And it seems to have worked in many cases, but yes, it depends on the fact that you are solving a genuine problem. Okay. So then we have another question. This side, Shams Hassan. As a young startup owner, we often face difficulty in finding people who can join. Absolutely agreed to Hassan. Finding manpower as a young startup owner is a bit challenging. I would love if Sandeep ji, okay, it's not Sandeep, it's Sanjeev. Unfortunately, Sanjeev is gone. Yes, you're right. It's a problem. I have one very simple solution, which may work in some cases. I have found from my experience that it is always best to take underqualified people. Don't look at, engineers from a reasonably premium institute. Definitely don't look at MBAs. Sometimes you'll find people who are doing their graduation by correspondence and have not even finished. Sometimes you'll find these people are great. And these people, typically, they don't have too many options. They can't join too many places. They're very happy to join you. They are also very happy to prove themselves. And therefore, they stay for long periods and they deliver results. So I have found when you're finding it tough to get people, cast your net wide, look at lots of people, try and take those people who usually will not, they may be good, but they don't have a great degree. They don't have a wonderful family background. They may be coming from a village background. Communication may not be great. That doesn't matter in a programming job, right? So try and use such people, number one. Number two, I think, what is very, very important is they should not be joining for a job. They should be joining because they believe in what you're doing. You as a founder are doing, right? I have found that if there is belief in what the founder is doing and they share in that vision, and you'll have to spend time on sharing that vision, then they are happy to join you, not because they are doing a job or getting a salary, because they're doing something worthwhile with you. This is how I joined the company which I worked with. I worked with NIIT for 20 years, and I met the founder right in the beginning, and I was a BTech and a PhD in computer science from IIT Delhi, so I could have got most jobs. But I was so impressed with this guy's vision of, creating computer culture across the country and ultimately across the world. I said, boss, मेरे को इसी के साथ काम करना है. So if you can ensure that that happens, then you don't have a guy who's fighting for salary. Yes, you have to give a salary. Then you have a guy, you don't have a guy who's fighting for multiple brands. No, then you have a guy who wants to join you and be part of you in this journey. And that's one way in which you can get people to onboarded. Yes, it's not easy, but that's one possible solution. By the way, just one quick comment. I post a lot of these answers on LinkedIn, so you're welcome to read those because, there will be a limited number of questions here, but I'm sure there will be others which you have. You're most welcome to read them. Great meeting you guys, and hope you learned from Sanjeev, and all the best. All the best to all of you founders.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Bye.